I want you to start.
How we first met? I don't remember.
So I was living in Newark, attending the University of Delaware. I honestly was having like a really hard time in college. I was working like probably 3 jobs and going to school full time, just trying to stay afloat like financially. It's my first time, living on my own, like actually having to like pay rent somewhere, and it was rough. And I honestly probably wasn't in the best like headspace, and just was having a pretty hard, rough time as a college student and trying to be independent.
I was at Lowe's, and my buddy Kenny and I were going to lunch or something like that. And she was working up front. I saw her, and she looked pretty cute. And she was wearing a plaid shirt, some tight jeans, and nice boots. I told my buddy Kenny, and I was like, man, she's cute. What's her name? And he's like, oh, that's Courtney. She's cool. I was like, oh man, you got to introduce me to her.
I just remember the person that was training him told me about him, and I didn't even know about him before this point. And they said that new Mike guy in Millwork is the name of the department. He's really into you. And I'm like, okay. And then I remember I actually saw Mike later that day. That was the first time I like became aware of like who this Mike guy was. And I just remember being like, that guy likes me. He looks like such a nerd. He always dressed up on the weekends. Like, I know this now after being with him, but he always dressed up on the weekends because he was a sales specialist and he wanted to like look really presentable for the job. And hello. And he literally had on a sweater vest. I'll never forget it. He had on, and I'm pretty sure he still owns it till this day, like this tan chevron printed sweater vest. And he had on glasses. And I was like, wow, that guy is such a nerd in a sweater vest. I don't think I've ever seen anybody wear a sweater vest.
So I was a salesman, so I like dressing up on the weekends. So I don't know, I guess I wore this sweater vest one time or multiple times. And I guess she thought I looked like a goober, but I thought I looked good.
Before I knew it, I went from having that position on the sales floor on the opposite side of the store from him to now them needing a part-time millwork associate in that department. So before I knew it, now I'm working part-time in the same department as him.
When she came back to the millwork department, the department I worked at, we got kind of like messing with each other, flirting and all this kind of stuff. And, that's when I kind of knew that maybe there's something, it's reciprocating. I'm not too sure, but it's possible.
It was completely different than any guy I'd ever dated. Just, just looks and personality, and he was really nice. He was honestly super nice, and I was just like, wow, this guy's way too nice for me.
And eventually, I asked her to go to Applebee's, which is, first date at Applebee's probably isn't the best, but we had a good time. I mean, we laughed, and it didn't matter where we were,
I guess that could be considered our first date, that I actually was like, oh, okay, I actually kind of like this guy. At that time, I just, my mom was like all the way in Nebraska, and I was just in a dark spot because I was doing really bad, like financially. I hit it pretty well, I think. I was working like multiple jobs, and it just got to the point that like the bills were like overwhelming, and I didn't know how to like stay afloat. So I had started like taking out credit cards just to be able to like pay my rent. So then I'd get approved for a credit card from somewhere for like $2 grand, and I'm like, all right, there's 1 month's rent. I think deep down I knew I was like interested in Mike, and I knew that he would be good for me, but I think I didn't want to like expose like that huge weakness that I felt that I was having. In February of 2016, we had like made it official.
I seen Courtney struggle with her relationship with both of her parents. And I think my parents kind of like came to the rescue. They really helped Courtney get through those types of times where, she really had no family or no parents figures. But yeah, I always knew that she would pull out. It was a stressful time, but I knew she would pull it out.
It was honestly probably only like 4 or 5 months into us actually like dating. And again, we'd really only known each other like not even a full year. That, I'd met his parents by this time. I would go hang out at their house, and you know, they're Italian and I love pasta. So they were like, you wanna come over for dinner? And I'm like, heck yes, don't ask me twice. I think I had just kind of broken down one afternoon at his parents' house in front of him and his parents. We were all sitting in the living room and I'd broken down about how I wasn't sure I was gonna like pay my rent or something like leading up to our lease ending, and where I was gonna be having to find a new place to live because everybody that I lived with was like graduating. It was just kind of like everybody was kind of going their separate ways, and I was like, I don't have anybody else. Like, I don't know where I'm gonna live. Mike's dad, in the middle of our conversation, without even consulting with Mike's mom or Mike, of all people, said, you're moving in with us and you're gonna quit 2 of your jobs and you're gonna focus on school and you're gonna pay your debt off.
My father didn't even talk to me about it. It was just kind of like, hey, Court, you wanna stay? You know, or hey, do you want Courtney to stay with us and all this kind of stuff? And I was like, you know, she's got a cat, right? Because my dad doesn't really like cats, and he's like, yeah, I guess that's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be the best for her.
Had Mike not like come into my life, I honestly like don't know where I would be. Like, would I be like an alcoholic? Because like I started like depending on that to like get my mind off of things that I was like going through, and you know, like where would I be financially? You know, I remember that I had like a credit score of like 200 because I had taken out so many credit cards and they were all like maxed out and like super late payments, and it was super embarrassing, but I was like honest about it because like I wanted Mike to know that like who he was with, I guess, you know.
See her struggle, like working a couple jobs, still going to school and dealing with that. Just kind of like, I don't want to see this girl struggle anymore, you know? So it was kind of like, I didn't even talk to my dad and he already decided that she was living, you know, with us. So it was kind of like, I don't know, it was telepathy or something. I'm not too sure, but you know, we were on the same level, and glad it happened.
Yeah, they saved me, just like financially, mentally, emotionally. You know, I went from feeling like I didn't have anything to now being in the best like financial state I've ever been in my entire life. And you know, Ben's really good with money and he helped me make a budget. I was able to like, I honestly paid off all my debt probably within the first like 6 to 8 months of like living with him.
What I love about Courtney the most is her drive. That if she puts her mind to anything, that she's gonna achieve it, you know, no matter what, you know. So that's, I definitely admire that most about her. Me and my mom went around trying to find a ring, and we went to like 4 or 5 different places, and we finally found the perfect one. And I told her, I said, I want it to be special. You know, of course, every girl wants to be there, to have their proposal special, but I wanted the family to be involved with it. Family is everything. I mean, enough to like tattoo it on my arm. It's great to have her, you know, be a part of that kind of stuff, and it's a huge part of our life. I mean, I remember talking to my mom. I was like, I want to make sure like everybody's a part of it, not just being there. Just I want like something to take away from it that, you know, says this person did that, this person did that, and it's our family that did it, you know.
Like this was like a planned family night.
Right, and so everybody had their own portrait, but one portrait was gonna go around the table. And we kind of like said that, you know, anybody add anything they want, and by the end of it, you know, it'll be like a unique picture that we all have like parts of.
I was like, oh, it's kind of like painting, like with the telephone game. And he was like, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay. And then I remember we started, and I was like, I want to go first. And and everybody was like, no.
Can't do that.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah, so she was I could tell she was getting a little frustrated because like it was going around, and like I don't know if we were being like suspicious about it or anything like that. But she was like, "Can I see? Can I see?" And we're like, "No,
Yeah, they're like
you're not allowed to see."
Because I'm on the other side of the table, and they're all kind of like in a little U. So and then like all the paint stuff is like over here, so nobody's even next to me. So realistically, I'm all by myself a little bit. Your dad got done doing this concoction, and then it went to Lindsay. Then Lindsay hands it back to your mom after your mom already painted her share. And I said, what are you doing? It's my turn. And then your mom stands up with it like she's gonna hand it to me. And then your mom turns it around. Then he showed it to me, you know, and he asked me, and I said, yes, of course. We hugged. And then I held my hand out and I said, put it on my finger. The thing I love most about Mike is the way that he loves me. There's never a day that goes by that he doesn't tell me that I look pretty or compliments me in some way, or where he expresses to me how much he loves me. It's like a constant daily thing for him. So I've never had to be that person in a relationship where I'm like always asking, like, do you love me? Like, I never had to get reassurance from him because he just provides it automatically every day. He's hysterical. There's never a day that goes by that he doesn't like make me laugh to the point that I'm gonna pee my pants.
Yeah, honestly, I'm excited about everything. You know, there's really no one thing, because I'm excited about having kids. I'm excited about, you know, seeing where your career is gonna take you and where my career is gonna take me. And I'm just excited about the unknown.
I'm excited to see you become a dad just because of like how caring you are, but then like not only for you but also like for your parents too, to like, you know, have a little baby grandchild, like especially for your dad. You know, I just excited for the life that we're gonna build, and to be able to like have the support that we have from, you know, my family and your family, and it's gonna be a fun, joyful ride for sure.
You know, marriage is sometimes gonna be rough, but I cannot wait for anything that comes at us, you know, whether it be bad or good. You know, I'm ready to be by our side 100% of the time. My first impressions was damn, who's that?
I love you.
Love you too.